Well, at first I asked to do this, and I thought, oh boy, what do you talk about? But then I thought, Farm Bureau model, a voice for farmers, a vision for agriculture. And it's a few words, but the real meaning of it is how we can take that model and get our members, older members, more involved and engaged by taking that and just showing them kind of the true meaning behind it.
When I first heard about the contest, just as a note, this is my first time ever doing this. I've only seen one discussion meeting, so my first thought was, whatever. But give it a little thought and realize that this is something that we've talked about in the organization for quite some time. That there seems to be a hole between the Young Farmer Program and what goes on with the organization in general and the policies that it's trying to move forward. So it's time to really address the issues and start to make something happen.
Wisconsin's Young Farmer Program is probably one of the most successful in our nation. And being a former graduate of the Young Farmer Program in Wisconsin, it was always a pleasure taking part in some of the activities. And I'm reminded by the famous phrase of, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Because as a former Young Farmer Committee state member and also the National Farm Bureau Young Farmer Committee, we always thought about, wouldn't it be cool to have an older member discussion meeting? So be careful what you wish for.
An interesting subject we're going to cover tonight, getting older members involved. I think in the Dane County Farm Bureau, I know they've had a program in the past, I believe it's called Cyber Mondays, and trying to get some older people involved with working with the internet and so on. And if we can take the lead and get people even involved with some of those kind of activities and have a Farm Bureau spin on it, it might be a real good opportunity to get people involved.
As a member, I've been a Marquette County member for 32 years, and this was kind of an interesting topic that was brought up. And I think one way that you will get the older people is they get kind of burnt out. They have hopes and dreams, and them dreams aren't getting met when they're at 35 and 40. They're getting tired of all the bureaucracy, of taxes not being lowered, as the groundwaters. Many of these things, they just get fed up with it and say that it's not going to make a difference, and so they resign.
The question is it new? I had gone through the leadership class, the first one, and this was a subject that was brought up years ago. What can we do after young farmers to be more, keep involved? And as Farm Bureau leaders, then we got to go back and I guess go back to our grassroots and as leaders try to cultivate and water and manage some new programs.
You have heard the opening statements. The contestants may now proceed with the discussion. Contestants, please direct your discussion to your fellow panel members.
Well, one thought I had is kind of what it's come across the members up here is keeping younger ones involved. And maybe one thing for some of the older generation do is kind of like a mentoring program type thing, where you take one or two people, so to speak, under your wing. They can kind of learn from you, you kind of from them on, like was mentioned, David said, like the Cyber Monday thing. If somebody's not as into the technology, they can help some of us older people, kind of learn and adapt to some of that, and we can maybe share some of our experience, whatever is in with some of them younger folks then. And a lot of times I've heard that, somebody has a grandkid, and the wife will say, yeah, he spends more time with grandkids than he did his own back then. Well, maybe he's got a little more time now, or, maybe realize that back then, it just, they're there. But as you kind of seem as you age, like about every 10 years, you kind of gain a little more wisdom on things and look back like, oh yeah, okay, and kind of from there. But Jim, what's your take on it?
I would start out by saying that, first of all, I think one of the issues that the organization needs to do is identify, do we truly have a whole that is developing? And I would think that the first thing that we should start doing is going back and looking back a few years and finding who were the young farmers that were active and identifying where are they today. Are they still in the organization? Are they serving on county boards? Are they active in committees within counties? Are they really gone? Or are they still in the organization and we just maybe notice them years later where they seem to have come back and are maybe more active at a higher level in the organization, and we feel like they left and came back. And then for where we can identify within counties, people that had been active younger and seem to have kind of disappeared, I think we need to go back and survey and find out why they are no longer involved in the organization. We have a lot of theories that, you know, most of us probably have families, and you have the years where your children are small and your parents are probably, if you're farming, are probably still somewhat involved in your operation at home. And, you know, for myself, it was, you know, you use the grandparents to babysit so that you can do the activities. So you have the time in the young farmer years. Then you get into that transition area where your children are teenagers. You feel there's always that panic mode where you feel like you didn't participate in your children's activities. Maybe you choose that over your own desires to be involved in the organization. Or your parents have retired or are no longer able to contribute, and you just don't have the time. And that's why you walked away from the organization. It's not a lack of desire. And then the third thing could go back to our exercise tonight. Is the organization meeting our goals? You know, are we looking as a young farmer to develop our professional and personal goals? And as we age through, do we change where we sit? You know, are we suddenly finding ourselves looking for a social thing and the organization hasn't adapted that? So I think first of all, we need to identify what the problem is for the organization. Hey, Randy.
I think that's you have some really good ideas, and a lot of times when we got involved as young farmers or even younger members in any organization, the reason that we got involved was maybe a lot of us was for social reasons. You know, it was a pizza party or a bowling party or some kind of a social activity, or was it a function, you know, maybe it was one of the contests. I know that's what first got me involved is I was asked to be in a discussion meet when I was first, and I never even heard of the discussion meet prior to that, and I got pulled into that, and it got me involved, and it got me introduced to the organization and what it actually does and what you can accomplish through the organization. But as you move through the organization, you know, hopefully you gain some leadership roles and you gain some experience and some positive encounters within the organization and others. And I think the Young Farmer Program, especially in Wisconsin, is working. We're probably more advanced than a lot of the other states around the country, so we've got a really good, large pool of young farmers that are there and able to do that. And we talk about, do we lose the young farmers after, you know, that magic 35-year cliff that they fall over in the end? Are they gone? Or are they on the school board? Are they on town boards? Are they on county boards? And some of them even in the state legislature and stuff like that, because of the experiences that they've gained through the Young Farmer Program at the Farm Bureau. Those are valuable, even if they're not necessarily maybe serving on the county board of the Farm Bureau, but maybe they're on the school board. You know, and I guess we have to look at some of the objectives as a Young Farmer Program. Of course, we want them to stay active in Farm Bureau, but we're also giving them the leadership skills and the qualities that are able to help function in society and improve all those things that we want. Even if it isn't in Farm Bureau, we're still getting the benefits of all that experience and that training that they gained through the organization.
I guess I'd like to ask any of you that have worked membership, I guess I've run into the challenge of running into a person that it just isn't interested, and you can tell they're just a member of the I Got Mine Club and I don't need you, okay? And those people challenge me that much more because they have the experience. Those are the kind of people that should be going to Ag Day at the Capitol, because you know that they have that experience behind them. Those older members, they know the things that work and things that don't work. And that's a better reason yet to try and draw them into our organization, because you go and talk to your legislators and convey your ideas to them, because you've got a lot of experience, and a lot of things have gone right for you, and maybe a good person to have on board as a Farm Bureau member in our county.
But don't you think that the older generation, or my generation, our generation, it's our booming days, but we don't have a cause. You know, when I was a young farmer, we did the social thing, and we had a lot of constructive meetings. Interest rate was 18%, and everyone was trying to figure out how they were going to pay their bill without expanding. You thought $800 an acre was a lot for money. Well, now, you know, but I mean, people don't have a cause. I was big on the straight voltage thing in the early 80s, and now, I mean, everything just kind of seems to be dragging on. We're still fighting over taxes. Well, can't there be a simpler way for taxes? Why are the older people spending all their, they'll ask you, well, why am I spending all my hard-earned money is all going for surviving? Well, inflation, sweetheart, it just hit you, you know. I mean, and there's answers, and I think Farm Bureau should be more aggressive in some of these issues that we're not affecting. And people just get, they get burnt out, they get tired. And a lot of them do go on to different things too. I mean, you know, not everyone's just sitting home playing with their grandkids. But I just think that the Farm Bureau could probably do more in like this. This I kind of chuckled when I heard about this. This ought to be fun, you know. And hopefully something will be good will come out of it. I mean,
But Al, the meeting you brought up about the water quality, meeting that you're going to have here soon coming up, and in Green Lake County, we're going to have another IOH meeting coming up in another couple weeks. The implements husbandry safety rules and that. I mean, these are things that are trying to help inform people, and we're bringing people in, whether they're Farm Bureau members or not, but showing them what Farm Bureau is trying to take the lead and get some of that things accomplished, the informational things that all farmers need, whether they're young farmers or older farmers.
oh yeah, like the high capacity wells was all spearheaded by the young farmers. They're having a wine tasting tour. They're going to have a thing to try to bring in 4-H kids and FFA kids and having a euchre night. Now I doubt if anyone knows if they know how to play euchre, but ought to be interesting. That should be a challenge.
Do you think that adding more social activities into the older group is maybe the key to having a little bit more activity?
I think maybe we're not making them feel wanted. I mean, I enjoy going to the annual meeting and harassing everybody that, you know, I see last year, and I'll think of something smart to say to them. Maybe they don't feel wanted, or maybe they feel like they're out of place. And I don't know. I don't see why, because I've always enjoyed Farm Bureau and, you know, in the different things that we've done. But yeah, some of them just kind of fall to the wayside, and they go,
I can kind of see some similarity between being on a county board is to being like on a church council. You sit there and you struggle with some of the similar issues, but yet, has anybody ever went out and asked these people, personally went out and invited them to come to something? You know, what are you're kind of looking for? And, you know, it's like, like being in a business, you're going to have to go out and, look at these people as a customer. And if you want to sell them a product, let them know what you have and ask them to come and participate or be involved as being a participant. And then to get them engaged to be occupied in that cause. So sometimes just, matter of asking them what to do. In the last couple of days, we talked with a fellow the other day about, we had the Spudmobile come to Green Lake County Fair. And I'd asked a local potato grower if they would, like to provide potatoes for it. And they were more elated to have their farm showcased as this, and they just started pounding off ideas and different things you can do with the Spud. And I asked one question. They talked for a half hour on everything. Like, okay, this was easy, but you just got to, once in a while you stumble across that thing, and they're not Farm Bureau members yet, but I think we can maybe get them to be one. So,
Matt, I'm glad you did a
pretty important topic there, because, you know, as when we're trying to develop our young farmer programs in each of our counties, where, you know, one of the simplest things is you gotta ask. You gotta, you know, sometimes all it takes is just somebody has to ask that person to take, you know, take part in the activity and something. And I think once they fall off that magic 35-year-old threshold, is, you know, well, they, you know, we think that they should know what we do by now. You know, they should know that we shouldn't have to continually sell, but yet I think we do. You know, we gotta, the simple thing of just asking someone to take part, because we've got all this experience built up now. We got to tap some of that thing. They've got ideas that have been brewing in their mind for years, and maybe they just didn't get up the guts to say it, but if we ask them, sometimes it'll come spilling out.
Randy and Matt had, you know, a good idea there of asking people. I guess when I seen this question, that was one of the things, how do we get these people that have been signed up active in the organization, not just getting their $55 each year, being members, you know, going out to ask. Maybe as board members, we gotta, people that we know of would be good on committees or whatever, you know, functions, you know, potatoes here you're talking.
Well, all of you are bringing up some good points about activities, and that's one thing in Green Bay County we've been doing for the last couple of years now. This is our third annual one. We're gonna, March 6th, we're gonna have a tour of Mullins Cheese and the research farm up in Marathon County, which Don Radke, director of Wisconsin Farm Bureau, was director of, and we're hoping to bring in all people that are interested. Farmers young and old, Farm Bureau members, non-Farm Bureau members, try and bring it in to a social aspect, try and bring people together and try and make a social and learning experience for the young and old. I mean, the robotic milkers are pretty intriguing to anybody, young or old, how a robot can milk cows. And that's part of that research center, and the Mullins cheese as well is a very good production plant, and something that we haven't been able to tour for some time because of the 9/11 security thing. So we're really excited about that, bringing people into this type of atmosphere, getting a busload of people to head up there, and young or old, to try and have a social as well as a learning experience for people that are interested.
How will we measure if we are succeeding to bring these people in and to these types of events, and are we bringing them in a way that gives them the fulfillment within the organization that they're looking for? One of the examples of things that we can do, socially, the young farmers in Winnebago County have really hit it out of the ballpark with their Stomping at the Shed. They had over 200 people there last Saturday night. I noticed, you know, it was advertised in our newsletter and in various places. I noticed that we had a nice group of what I would call more my age people there. But that shows you that there's the element that you have with agriculture and social bonding, because who do you have the most in common with? And I've said it to my board, that who you have the most in common with in this whole world is sitting at this table with you. You think the most like them, your businesses are the most alike. You have the most in common when you go that next step out into the world from your family with people that are in the same type of business with you that think like you. That's what the organization is, and that's how it gets things done, by bringing ideas together and moving them forward. If we can get the people together, but how are we harnessing that energy from this group to move the organization forward?
Well, you're already doing that by the different events that we're all having here. And you talked about how do we know if it was successful? Well, that's something that you won't be able to measure with a yardstick. You're gonna, by just giving your word, if you get one person out of says, well, I believe in this, or maybe he or she doesn't mind paying an extra penny for a gallon of milk before they start complaining, or, I mean, there's many ways. I mean, like, if you think we'll have more Farm Bureau members, we're looking at it the wrong way. We need to sing our song and make it more enjoyable, but let's face it, the sad part is we don't have the farmers that we had, well, 20 years ago. And so we also need to develop different resources that would keep the next generation or my generation back into it. And one of the things I've learned getting older is accepting. That wasn't in my vocabulary when I was 19 and 20.
I guess one point you bring up, Al, is the diversity in Farm Bureau. I mean, we have, I've said it before and say it again, that if you have 10 different Farm Bureau members in front of you, those 10 people have 10 different perceptions of Farm Bureau. It means different things to different people. Policy development, women's committee, you know, just social aspect. There's a lot of different avenues for different people involved in Farm Bureau. And so getting their hot button, like we talked about earlier, if you can find that, that's a good way of selling Farm Bureau membership, because you understand where that person fits in and what Farm Bureau is important to them, what part of Farm Bureau is important to them.
And maybe another aspect of getting them more involved and engaged is we got the Ag in the Classroom. You know, take like this year's topic is the bee man. You know, have you got a beekeeper in your county? Have the Ag in the Classroom coordinator go find that individual, ask them to come into the classroom with them, and then take that on, or maybe bring up another topic. And you know, like, you know, schools have, you know, take your tractor to school day. Well, maybe they, you know, say Princeton doesn't have an ag program. Well, you know, one thing at the Focus on the Farm committee, or Focus on the Farm breakfast in June at Trillium Hill, was we had a lot of moms come along with kids. Can we just take a ride on the wagon, just, you know, a couple times around the, you know, the parking lot, you know, in that area? These kids just love to get some exposure to that. And I guess it's the thing is to get the voice out there and talk about this, or the vision to show them what is going on. And you know, I think just getting, you know, asking some people to get in the Ag in the Classroom activity and help out in some fashion in that, you know. You just never know until you try once in a while. But,
I know so many times at our county board meetings, we've had, you know, discussions of how do you keep people involved, and you know, you have your core group of your board of directors, and you know, every year when we start out at the beginning of the year after your annual meeting, you're trying to go through, set up all your committees, and who's going to be chairperson of this committee, who's going to be chairperson of that committee, and it kind of usually ends up, you look around the table and, well, which one do you want? And this is, well, and we've started to learn that you've got to look what's beyond the room, you know, outside of that box that you're in all the time, and maybe tap into some of those people, especially like you said, Ag in the Classroom. You know, there's you might have some retired teachers or some wives out there that are, you know, that maybe have a few hours a day in the middle of the day that they have available that others don't, that hey, they can go into the classroom and they can read some books and they can do some of these activities that maybe they can't help. You know, everybody can't be involved in everything. So what you have to do is we got to try and find who's good at what of those little things and plug them in there. And it might only be 1 or 2 activities that they're involved in a year, but that might be the best thing for them, and it fits in their life. And we've had a discussion where, you know, if you're real involved as a young Farm Bureau member and you have some kids, and there's some years that you have some struggles, and you know, life hits everybody. And sometimes they'll come in Farm Bureau and they're real active for a few years, and you get burned out a little bit. You give them some time, and maybe they're involved in some church activities or your school. But later on, you don't ever want to lose that valuable experience, whether it's in Farm Bureau or just in life, because there's so much that they have to give and offer our organization that we got to make sure that we got to keep that. And that's sometimes is the most difficult thing, is that we don't lose track of those people. And they don't have to be involved in everything, but you know, at least get them involved in 1 or 2 things.
So Randy, you talk about the young farmers and to some extent and what can be done, and I talked about the Cyber Mondays that they had in Dane County. At the young farmers there were helping some of the older folks in the county learn how to use Facebook and how to go to the websites and that. If we could get something going like that statewide or even in our district or our county, to get some of these older people even interested in a Farm Bureau Facebook or the Farm Bureau website and that sort of thing, that might be a real foot in the door to kind of expose them to some more Farm Bureau activities. They don't even
My
know
wife would be the
that
first to
exist.
tell you that I can use all the help I can get when it comes to that. And I know Rock County has a real good program where they bring in like local legislators, and they have it on there, and I'm not sure what their activity is called, but I think they just had it recently, where they bring in local legislators and even some of their local state legislators in, and that would be an awesome opportunity for some of the more experienced Farm Bureau people to have those contacts that they probably built up for years, and you probably know a lot of these individuals personally, and that's the kind of personal contact that they need, and that's what helps us get things accomplished in Farm Bureau. I mean, we couldn't have had, you know, use value assessment and all the different things that we've accomplished as a big part of Farm Bureau policy that have been done over the years without that valuable experience that, you know, from the members that have been in there for years and have that valuable experience that we need.
I'd like to point out too that we do have resources that we can use that we've already got in place. So some of the struggle going forward to fill this hole is already available to us. And I would point out that last year the meeting here was about how to run a good board meeting. This year, you know, to understand the perspective that people are looking for when they come to the organization, and in adjusting our own, instead of trying to sell to people what it is we see in the organization, looking to find out what they need and address to them that we have that to offer. But we have the Leadership Institute also as another resource. But I think that these board member training sessions will do a lot to help focus boards to set themselves up in a way that they're able to go out into the community, get more people involved in the organization.
Getting people involved is great, but you know, we have Ag Day at the Capitol, which is one of the most exciting days of the year for me, and especially the year we had the vote on the collective bargaining. I mean, that you could just feel the pulse in the Capitol that day with all the protesters and that. But how can we get more people to come from our counties? I mean, we get 10 to 12 a year. It'd be great to have a busload go if we could, you know, and it's such a great feeling of talking to your legislators and getting a feel of what is happening in the ag world at the rally we had before the visit with our legislators.
You talked about a cause. That is probably one of the more major things that at any age we need to be involved with. Maybe Farm Bureau should broaden their horizon and maybe make some of the committees bigger, or you know, and put more people on. I know it creates a lot more havoc the bigger the committee, but maybe that is one way. But I mean, you talked about the Act 10. Oh God, there was all kinds of from the top down. I mean, every now and then you'd sneak in there and get someone would throw you a curve, and then I'd laugh and give it right back to them. But I mean, that causes like that, the stray voltage, maybe if we had something, a true tax reform or something that would get the country excited, because, you know, national disasters always, you know, I mean, everyone gets excited. And, no, I mean, it's a shame, but after a national disaster, everyone works as a team. No one is selfish. Everyone is trying to give because everyone is lost. And I don't know how you would stimulate that type of feeling, the giving and the caring, as you have in a disaster.
Well, you bring up some ideas, Al, but I mean, the IOH, you know, legislation we just had, that did bring Wisconsin farmers together.
And it was
it's
passed there.
something that would, you know, it was something we needed because we just had so many variables, you know, statewide, and to get something standard was really important. And now we've got it, but we've got to learn what it takes.
Definitely.
And I went recently to a meeting in Fond du Lac County, and Green Lake County's going to offer one, and it's just one of those things that we can be involved with that training, just like your
Time has been called. Contestants will have 1 minute to prepare their closing statement. If the audience would please continue to be silent as they do. Please put down your pens, and in voluntary order, stand up and give your 1 minute closing statement.
All volunteer. I think that a lot of good ideas were brought forward tonight, and I think the most important thing, of course, is to just get a discussion going about something that we see has a problem in the organization, and certainly heard about it at the listening sessions. The one I was at, this was something that was talked about. But I would say first that we first survey the past active members that seem to have maybe drifted from the organization, find out really why they aren't here. I think we need to continue training the boards in leadership skills and personal skills, interpersonal skills. And I think that that at the state level, the state can continue to define what the organization is, so that when we talk about Farm Bureau to anyone out there that we meet and are trying to bring into the organization, that they would have an understanding of what Farm Bureau is, does, and has available for them.
The voice for farmers and the vision for agriculture, I think we got that real opportunity in front of us as Farm Bureau members to go out and get more involved, participating, engaged, and being occupied. I think we just got to go ask the people and show them what we have available. I mean, some people just, we don't know. We just have to, basically go out there and sell our product. It's kind of what it comes down to. We did have a lot of good ideas here tonight, and hopefully everything can maybe kind of be blended together, and our State Farm Bureau people can help sift through some of this and maybe develop a program that could be piloted here in District 5 and get started. So.
This was a wonderful opportunity to take part in this discussion meeting. Been in others when I was a young farmer, and it was definitely a different vibe to do this. And like I said before, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it, because it's amazing to see that youth in age has got nothing to do with the ideas that you can come up with. Age has nothing to do with the enthusiasm that you get obviously exhibited tonight by some of the answers of the contestants here. We have a lifetime of ideas and things that didn't work and that did work. And Farm Bureau's brought a lot of those opportunities out. And it was just a good time to have, and thank you for this opportunity.
Well, as we've learned this evening, bringing the young and the old together is a very important part of Farm Bureau. We've touched on many things: the Ag Day at the Capitol, Ag in the Classroom, the Leadership Institute. We've got a lot of programs in place already, and if we can build from that, as well as working with pilot programs like was mentioned here before, of things that can try and bring people together. A workshop like this is outstanding, and just we would like to try to continue to build on what we have as Farm Bureau. Thank you.
It's kind of unique, I guess. We talked about many different topics. I think that the causes and the compassion that the young farmers have and the old farmers, I don't think we may have lost them, but I don't think we really lost them. I think they did a lateral move and stepped sideways, because they're all willing to help. They know the problems. They know what everything is about right now. You ask them, and they're always willing to volunteer. But I think as we get older, we maybe set some values. For me, it is turned to God, and then it's my family, and then it's the different organizations that I belong to. And I guess as we get older, maybe we get more definite, and we may lose some. But I don't think we lose them. I really think that they may not be Farm Bureau members, but their hearts and their passion is still in the community of farming, because that's what they enjoyed and love all their life. Thank you.
We had a lot of good discussion here tonight, a lot of different subjects. There is something here for over 35 people to be doing. Maybe we just got to be better at drawing more people in, trying to find their hot buttons, see what we can do to get people more active in this grassroots organization.
Let's show these contestants our appreciation.
Okay, at this time, I want to announce the winner of the discussion meet. Maybe first annual leaders discussion meet is Dave Wilkie. So, come on up, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Where's the Dave song?
We got something with that.
Let's have him worked up a traveling trophy, that'd be all right.
I was working on it.
Yeah.
First off, I want to offer the certificate for leading a winner.
Look this way.
Oh, we gotta turn that way.
That's right.
So,
Have that photo up.
That's right. Got it.
okay, don't run away.
Yeah.
Okay, so also for being the winner, I've got a $25 gift card for Dave for being there. And also, since we're not as large as the American Farm Bureau, but we're still just as important, I want to offer up a pickup truck.
Boy, did you hit the jackpot.